Welcome to Dark Knight Films Reviews and another special ranking video. Tonight, I'll be counting down my picks for the top 10 horror films with hypnosis. Now for this list, we will not have vampire films with vampiric hypnosis in them. This will be more films with a hypnotist or someone using hypnosis throughout the film as a major plot point. So, with that being said, let's begin our list. Coming in at number 10, we have Hypnotic. Released in 2023, directed by Robert Rodriguez, starring Ben Affleck, Alice Braga, and William Fincher. Now, with this cast and this director, this should have been a no-brainer. This should have been a great film. But it is such a joke as far as the way that the hypnosis is used in it, if you want to call it that. I mean, in this, they consider hypnosis as being William Fincher walking up to someone, saying a few words, and then that person all of a sudden being completely under his control. It makes no sense. I mean, he literally has two police officers walking up to him, ready to arrest him. He says 3 words to them, "I'm the wrong man." And they immediately turn to Ben Affleck's detective character and say, yeah, he's the wrong man. And then they draw their guns on him. It's just such a stupid thing. It is not the way you want to go in investing people in a hypnotic villain in here doing this. It had a lot of promise to it. And then you take the Alice Braga character, who seemed to be the good equivalent of what William Fincher's character was throughout the story. And then by the end of it, you make it's all a ruse, and they're just messing with Ben Affleck's mind and everything. And it's just one of those goofy movies where they try to do too much and try to be too smart. And in fact, it makes it just stupid, in my opinion. So, unfortunate. All right, so let's move on to number 9. Number 9 is The She Creature, 1956, / Creature of Destruction, 1967. Both of these films are directed by Edward L. Kahn. And She Creature stars Chester Morris and Marla English. And Creature of Destruction stars Les Tremayne and Pat Delaney. Now, the reason I jumbled these together is, yes, I will be doing a future versus night with these two films. And instead of just putting one or the other on this list, I decided to put them both on together. With this, Chester Morris in the original and Les Tremayne in the TV movie remake, they're very interesting hypnotist characters. And I like the whole, they're using hypnosis to bring this creature out for this woman, and the creature ends up killing whoever is a threat to the hypnotist. As far as the actresses go, I really like, as far as attractive actresses, the girl that's being hypnotized in the original film, Marla English, is very attractive, but I don't think she plays the Hypnosis as good as Pat Delaney in the remake. Like I said, she's more attractive, but I don't think she is as good as that character. And the monster in the remake is not as cool looking as the creature in the she creature. So, yeah, this one is a really interesting film with hypnosis involved in it. Coming in at number 8, we have Stir of Echoes, released in 1999, directed by David Cope, starring Kevin Bacon, Ileana Douglas, and Jennifer Morrison. Now, this one is a lot of people's pick for a really great horror film with hypnosis in it, but I think it's overrated. I like the overall, storyline on this thing, but I just don't think it's a really, really interesting use of hypnosis in a plot. I think it could have been better. And my final thing on this one is, I like Kevin Bacon, but I don't give a damn about seeing him hypnotized. I'd much rather see Kevin Bacon in a film like Death Sentence than having to sit through Stir of Echoes again. All right, so let's move on to number 7. Get Out, released in 2017, directed by Jordan Peele, starring Daniel Kaluuya, Allison Williams, and Catherine Keener. Now, this film is another one that is a favorite for people with a horror film with hypnosis in it. And, much like Stir of Echoes, I don't really give a damn about seeing Daniel Kaluuya hypnotized. I'm not interested in that. And I think what could have been an interesting story with this film, Jordan Peele in interviews has said that it's not the case, even though a lot of people speculated when this movie came out that Allison Williams' character was a hypnosis victim to her mother as well in here, Catherine Keener. And that, to me, would have been the more interesting plot than what we got with this film. I would have much rather seen a film where Allison Williams' character realizes what her mother and father are doing and goes to her mother and tries to get her to stop this, or she's going to expose them, and then she could have hypnotized her and made her want to help them in their twisted games and everything. And that would have been much, much more interesting as a plot than what we got, because I think Get Out is highly overrated. All right, so coming in at number 6, we have Mask of Dijon, released in 1946, directed by Lou Landers, starring Eric von Stroheim, Gene Bates, and William Wright. Now, with this film, you get sort of what we got with Stir of Echoes and Get Out, where Eric von Stroheim uses his hypnosis on several guys. He hypnotizes a paper boy. He hypnotizes a would-be thief. And he ends up hypnotizing a man that lives in the apartment complex that he lives at and gets him to kill himself to realize his power with this hypnosis. And then the only reason that this is higher than the other films on this list is when he actually goes after his own wife and hypnotizes her in order to get her to kill what he perceives as her boyfriend. And that point in the film, this became very interesting to me. So that is why this one makes my list at this point. Coming in at number 5, we have Anguish, released in 1987, directed by Biggest Luna, and starring Zelda Rubinstein, Michael Lerner, and Talia Paul. Now this one, it is kind of like some of the others where you have a son is being hypnotized by his twisted and abusive mother. And with that plot, this probably would have been lower, but they have a really cool thing that it is revealed that all of this, with the Zelda Rubinstein and Michael Lerner characters, is a movie within a movie. And Talia Paul and her character's friend are watching this movie on the big screen in a theater. And at one point, Zelda Rubinstein is supposedly hypnotizing her son on screen, and the audience begins to fall, including Talia Paul in this sequence. And it is such a cool and interesting use of the hypnosis that we are seeing on the movie within a movie, and how it is working and affecting those that are watching it. It is a very interesting film with hypnosis in it, and that is why it makes my list higher than some of these other films. Coming in at number 4, we have The Hypnotic Eye, released in 1960, directed by George Blair, starring Allison Hayes, Jacques Bergerac, and Marcia Henderson. Now, this one is much, much more twisted, as the hypnotist of the film's title is using this weird hypnotic eye that he flashes into these girls' faces, and it causes them to go into a trance, and then he commands them to come to him later, and he ends up having them go home and somehow disfigure themselves. Now, it turns out that Allison Hayes' character is his girlfriend, and she is a disfigured woman, and she is spiteful toward any beautiful woman, and is having her boyfriend, Jacques Bergerac's hypnotist character, do these horrible crimes to these women. And it is a very, very good film, although I think the plot point of that really weakens the villain of the story, because the real villain of the story ends up being Allison Hayes' character. Coming in at number 3, we have Svengali, released in 1931, directed by Archie Mayo, starring John Barrymore, Marion Marsh, and Bromwell Fletcher. Now, this film is a classic. John Barrymore is so interesting as this music teacher with these hypnotic abilities, and he has tried to hypnotize previous students of his and try and get them to be opera singers and stars, and it is always a failure because the woman that he goes after, they don't have the talent. And then he meets Trilby, and she impresses him not only with her beauty, but also her voice. And he becomes obsessed with turning her into his opera singing star and love interest. This is just a great classic film. And this list could not be complete without Svengali. Coming in at number 2, we have Hypnotic, released in 2021, directed by Matt Angel and Suzanne Coote, starring Kate Siegel, Jason O'Mara, and Jewel Hill. Now, this film was a surprise to me. I had heard about this one on Netflix, and I always held off watching it. Now, after seeing it, I really feel I'm really kicking myself for doing that, because this is very, very interesting film with hypnosis in it. The character of Jason O'Mara's psychiatrist character, who is, going after these women, hypnotizing them, and doing what he's doing. I'm not going to give away much about this because I don't want to spoil this plot point on this, but we see most of it through Kate Siegel, who I really was impressed by on the film Hush. And in this film, she is just as equally as good as she was in Hush. And the way she plays the hypnotized scenes is excellent. She is so damn good in this film. And as charismatic as Jason O'Mara is throughout this film, it's just such a interesting plot. Add to that Jewel Hill's detective character, who's really, really cool. Late addition to the plot in the story. And once he gets introduced, everything starts to kick into high gear for this film and becomes one of my favorite horror films with hypnosis in it. All right, now before I get to my number 1, here are a couple of honorable mentions. The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari from 2005. This is a remake of the 1920s silent film in which they basically shot it shot for shot and duplicated the backgrounds and everything. They're shooting on green screen and everything, and it really is a very faithful adaptation of that for sound. So if you ever wanted to watch this movie in a sound version without having to read it throughout it like the silent version from 1920, this is pretty cool. It's pretty interesting how they did it. They really pay a lot of respect to that original silent film, and it's not bad, but I don't think it's as good as the rest of these on this list. And the final honorable mention we have on this list is The Wizard of Gore from 1970. Now, this film is a Herschel Gordon Lewis splatter film, and it's about a magician who hypnotizes these women on stage and brutally destroys them in all these bloody ways in front of a crowd of people, only to be revealed that they're okay, and they walk off the stage, but then, oddly enough, they die later from their injuries they suffered on stage. So yeah, it's just a weird film, which is why it couldn't really make this list. It's not as good as the rest of these films on this list. So let's move on to my number 1. And my number 1 is Devil Doll, released in 1964, directed by Lindsay Shonteff, starring Bryant Holiday, William Sylvester, and Yvonne Romaine. Now this film, with this ventriloquist doll that this magician uses in his show, this film has the aspects of the later Anthony Hopkins film, Magic, with the creep factor of the doll, but it also has, some very, very interesting sequences in which Bryant Holliday's hypnotist character in here, or magician, whatever you want to call him, ends up hypnotizing the lovely, one of the most beautiful women ever, Yvonne Romaine. And the sequences with him hypnotizing her and then using it at different points throughout the film are very, very interesting. And on top of that, it is exposed that he actually hypnotized his male assistant at one point. And he's also hypnotizing his female assistant now. So he has a lot of hypnosis in the film, moving this plot forward and everything. And I think it is one of the best films for the horror genre, having hypnosis involved in it. And that is why it makes my list at #1. But what do you guys think of my list? Do you agree with my list? Do you disagree? Let me know what your list is in the comments down below. Please be respectful and just give me your list and respect what I've done with my list. It's my list. I'm not saying it's everybody's list. If you've enjoyed this video, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to click that bell icon so you can be notified about future videos just like this one. And while you're by the subscribe button, click that join button and become a Dark Knight fan. As a Dark Knight Fan Plus member, you have access to an area of the channel right now where you can go on there and request a movie, TV series, or ranking video of your choosing. And when that video goes live, it will go up for all Plus members to view prior to it going up live for everyone else. So, and it's not a one-time thing. I will put up another post after that. So, if you want to get interactive, now's your chance. And if you missed last week's ranking video, check out the link above. And if you missed any of our other ranking videos, check out this playlist and get caught up.